also some may not care so much what happens to camels. But I think there's also not a lot of hard knowledge about PTA. I mean, it's a case, I mean, I've seen, and it's also, it's hard to get that knowledge out. I mean, and this has been true for many years since I've started working in Sri Lanka quite a while back. There's been a few small groups who have worked on the PTA, but they've never been able to mobilize around it. I think it was harder during the war. It should in principle be easier after the war, as someone pointed out, when there isn't any evident terrorism, and even the government would say that. But it's still a hard case to make, I think, partly because people don't know just how atrocious it is as a law. And I think also would be my theory about partly why internationally I think it's justified in a very general way. You know, it's justified, and also the government the Sri Lankan government quite skillfully points to the inconsistencies, shall we say, of certain Western governments in their own approach to what they are calling terrorism, and the violations that those governments also make of their own law and of international conventions that they've signed. And they basically say, well, if you guys can do it, why can't we? And I think there's to some extent a tacit, understanding that on this issue, even those governments who will push the Sri Lankans on reconciliation or accountability won't push them very hard on that. But I also think there's just not a lot of knowledge about the details, even among diplomats who cover Sri Lanka. I think if you took even the average Sri Lankan desk officer in a Western government, they would be probably surprised to hear all of these details about just how bad a law it is. So I think more lobbying specifically on it would be quite useful over the longer term.
Thank you very much. Can I see hands again for some further questions and comments?